ICF Construction is revolutionizing the way we build energy-efficient, durable homes. But the moment of truth comes when it's time to place the concrete. Get this step right, and you're on your way to a rock-solid structure. Get it wrong, and it could cost you big. Today, we're walking through everything you need to know about placing 3,000 PSI concrete in ICF walls. ICF, or Insulated Concrete Form, offers superior energy efficiency, durability compared to traditional framing. Hey guys, this is Jesse, and I'm here at the Liberty Estate today. And as you can see behind me, they are placing the 3,000 PSI concrete in the walls of the second story here at the Liberty Estate. So stick around as we dive a little bit into how this process happens, because it's pretty interesting. We're going to talk about, at a very basic level, what this all is taking to get this job done. So one, we've got the pump. You can see that we have 4 guys up at the top here. There's also another guy named Doug. He's down low, and he's making sure that all of the concrete gets to the very bottom, because this is done in lifts. So right now they're going through pass number 1, and then they're going to go through pass number 2, and I don't know how many passes they're going to have here, but basically in this situation we have a 5-guy, 6-guy team operating this whole thing, from the crane guy, the pump guy that's here, all the way down to Doug, who's making sure that everything is getting placed in the right spots. And you're gonna see on B-roll him patting it and also vibrating it to make sure, one, that all of the air bubbles get out of the concrete, but also all of the concrete gets to the right places. A really interesting aspect of the build is in the windows that you see here, they are making sure that the concrete is coming down and around, because they have, the first level was up to a certain spot, and then they're filling in underneath those windows, because obviously we need to get the concrete in. And so they're vibrating that into place, and then they have holes where the concrete, once it starts to come up through those holes, they know that the concrete's in the right place. So obviously we've talked about the superior quality of ICF and why we're using it here, but also we need to talk about why we're using 3,000 PSI concrete inside of the walls. So listen to this. 3,000 PSI concrete is made from a carefully balanced blend of cement, aggregate, and water, with just the right amount of slump for ICF walls. The ideal slump range is between 4 to 6 inches, loose enough to flow into the forms, but not so wet that it compromises strength. The key to a successful pour is placing the concrete in controlled lifts, typically 3 to 4 feet at a time. This prevents excessive pressure on the forms and reduces the risk of blowouts. A concrete pump with a smaller hose, 2 to 2.5 inches, gives you more control over the rate of flow, helping the concrete settle without creating voids. So I just mentioned voids, and voids are a really big component of the strength and durability of ICF walls, because when you have the ICF foam in place, but then you are placing the concrete, if you have a void in that, then you completely compromise the entire structure of the build, because we don't want to have any voids. We want to have a full cavity. And so when Doug is going around smashing on the wall, making sure that the concrete is actually in place and filling, but you also, again, don't want any blowouts. All right, so diving deep, a little bit more deep on the voids. We don't want to have any voids. And one of the ways that we're avoiding the voids is by vibrating. You can see in B-roll clips, there is a machine that sticks down into the concrete. I would call that like a pencil vibrator, and it sticks down into the concrete and it vibrates all of the concrete into its place. Again, with the 3000 PSI concrete, that allows us to fill the cavity there because it's not too wet, it's not too hard, it's not too thick. It flows evenly. But one of the other things is that we got to have a tool that allows that vibration. And Doug is using like a hammer drill to get the concrete to move into its place, and then from above they have a machine that is vibrating the concrete above. So he's sticking that little tube into the concrete and it's vibrating around, and all of the air bubbles and everything that's in there is getting worked out and moving into place. I would recommend, if you're not in Arizona, to find a vendor that is an expert at ICF. And ICF specialists, that's all they do is ICF construction. So they know this through and through, because main things that you want to avoid are, one, over vibrating, under vibrating, and the voids that we've talked about before. However, when you have a vendor and a partner like ICF specialists that know how to work with cracking, bulging, blowouts, all of those things, they know how to they have solutions that move you forward in construction, which is extremely key. All right, so next, the curing time. How long does this take to cure? Well, really, the longer that you allow it to cure, the better. However, about 7 days is going to be all that it takes. Now, with this, there's so many other areas of the build that we can work on that it's not incredibly necessary to just go 7 days. We have the ability to go longer with the cure time, but really typically a 7-day cure time is just fine, and that's all you need. I appreciate you guys for sticking around with me. Hit that like button, comment below, and hit that subscribe button, because there's more to come on this Liberty Estate build, talking about ICF. There's a whole lot more to come. See you next time.